uhlelo lwethu la namhlanje ilungelo lakho. It's your right. We're coming to you live la kumamba phambili SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Siyatholakala futhi na ku SABC Plus. Mbukeli indaba yethu yanamhlanje indaba esematheni kakhulu ngoba phela indaba abantu abaningi abalindele ukuthi bayizwe. Mbukeli ngisho leyo hlelo lwezimpesheni lwaziwe ngokuthi yi-two-pot system oluzovumela phela abantu ukuthi bakhiphe encanyana imali lapha kwipension yabo singekafiki isikhathi sokuthi bathathe umhlala phansi. Lokhu ke ukuthi phela bazame ukuthi basizeke ukuthi bakhululeke kancane kulesi simo esinzima sezimali. Bukela ukuthi lizosebenza kanjani ke lolu hlelo futhi ni le two-pot system yempesheni esikhuluma ngayo. Samukele izivakashi zethu namhlanje. Sina insizwa uSonke Dandala ekhashwa nguBrian Karitsa bobabili ke mbukeli bamele iGovernment Employees Pension Fund ekuyibo mbukeli esibambisene nabo kulezi zinhlelo zokuthi sinifundise phela ngezimpesheni zenu. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to both of you. Thank you for joining us. Hello Brian.
Good afternoon Alicia. Thank
How
you
are
for
you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
Welcome back. Butsonke.
Molweni mangcolosi.
Unjani dad?
Siyaphila.
Hayi
Siyabulisa kakhulu sibulise namabukeli ekhaya.
Yes.
Nababukeli abakhethekileyo abangamalungu eGPF siyabulisa.
Absolutely. Ooh, you had to be specific ubulise abantu beGPF abakhethekileyo. Okay, so gentlemen, asiqale ngawe Butsonke. Osichazele ukuthi le two-pot system isebenza kanjani? Yini le two-pot system xa sithetha ngayo?
Le two-pot system sis Alicia ngumthetho omtsha ongekangeni. Sithetha nje ngoku usephambi kweParlamente. iParlamente isawuceninga sawucwaninga ukuthi uze uphaswe awukaphaswa. Lo mthetho ngumthetho ozama ukunceda abantu uba bayonge imali yabo yepension. Sine problem, sinengxaki ngoku apha eSouth Africa yokuba currently I think uBhutsmanga wayechilo only 6% yabantu base South Africa bakwazi ukuretirisha comfortably. So lo mthetho uzama ukulungisa lo ngxaki uba abantu bakwazi uba bayigcine imali yabo yepension bade bathathe umhlala phansi.
Okay.
Esesibini isizathu sesokuba bavumela ukuba ngamaxesha kaxakeka xa kunzima rainy days phecelezi bakwazi ukungena kube khona into abakwazi ukuyifumana kwipension yabo bengarezenanga bengashiyanga phansi emsebenzini.
Okay.
Lo mthetho ke uphansi kweParlamente under what is called the Revenue Amendment Bill.
Okay.
Yeah. So usephambi kweParlamente siwulinde ke uba iParlamente izawugqithisa ize ke uqale ukuba implemented ukusukela ngo-1 kaSeptember 2024.
Okay.
Ngamafutshane nje sis Alicia unjalo lo mthetho.
Okay. Brian, I mean, there's been many delays with this two-pot system. I know the announcement was it's going to kick in last year on the 1st of March. What has been the hold-up exactly?
Well, I think the best people to answer that would be the policymakers themselves. But I think we have to appreciate that it is a significant shift in how the retirement funds and overall pension funds are meant to operate. And because of that, those complexities, I think the policymakers needed to make sure that everything works perfectly for them. So I think that has been the main reason for the delay. I think they're just trying to make sure that it's a smooth process for people going forward.
Okay, so what's the next step now? Since Sonke says it is currently in Parliament, what are your members still waiting for this system to go ahead?
So currently the bills are to be tabled to Parliament, and only then will they be passed into law.
Okay.
For the GPF specifically, once the Revenue Laws Amendment Bill has been passed as law, we will then have to update the GP law and rules to cater for all the additions that the two-pot system is bringing in.
Okay.
Only then will we then be able to administer the benefits under the two-pot system. We're also busy upgrading our systems and trying to work diligently to ensure that we'll be ready by the implementation date.
Sonke, I mean, abantu abaninzi man want to know, does this only apply to imembers zenu ezikhethekile, iGEPF, or umthetho uzawubandakanya wonke umuntu one pension, ndisho i-private pensions as well?
Ngumbuzo obalulekileyo lowo sis Alicia. Lo mthetho we-Revenue Laws Amendment Bill, it's actually part of the tax law.
Okay.
So loo nto ke ithetha ukuba zonke i-pension funds zizawubandakanyeka kulo mthetho.
Okay.
That is i-GPF ngokwayo ne-private sector pension and provident funds.
Okay.
Zizawubandakanyeka ngokulinganayo.
Okay, but how different is then is GEPF going to be as in relation to the private sector? Because I think xa sithetha during inantsika sivuba maybe private sector yona izuba ne-2 pot, izoba zi-3 okanye zi-4 pots.
Yeah. uBrian uzawungena on the details of
Yes.
i-private sector. Ndingathi nje just ugqibezela kule ndawo betshe kuyo masikhumbule uba i-GPF iphathwa ngaphansi kwe-GP law.
Okay.
So into ebalulekileyo kuqala funeka siqale silungise imiqathango nemithetho ye-GP law. Ngokutsho ke i-rules and regulations.
Okay.
Xa sowugqithile umthetho wapaswa funeka siya kwi-rules and regulations zethu sizitshintshe enzela uba zizawukwazi ukuhambelana nalo mthetho omtsha.
Okay.
Emvani koko ke ngoku xa sesikwazile uzamenda ezo rules and regulations, then ke ngoku sizawukwazi uba siqhube phambili ngomthetho siwu-implemente phantsi kwe-GPF.
Okay. And Brian, maybe just come in there. Sonke says you'll be better, placed to explain, the difference in how the two-pot system for the GEPF members is going to work as opposed to the private pension investments.
So we just have to be careful with the interpretation of that question.
Yeah.
The principles are going to be the same across the public sector funds and the private sector funds. So two-pot is going to be equally applicable to every form of fund in South Africa.
Okay.
Where the main difference will come through is the GPF is a defined benefit fund. And most of the funds you find in the private sector are defined contribution funds, and they are governed under the Pension Funds Act. But the underlying principle, like I said, will be the same. If we look at the funds under the Pension Funds Act or the ones in the private sector which are defined contribution, what is going to happen is your overall benefit is going from 1 September 2024 going forward. Your overall benefit is based on your contributions and how much they grow. This benefit will then be split in a ratio of 1/3 and 2/3 between the different pots. When you come to the GPF now, your benefit is also going to be split 1/3 and 2/3, but it's not going to be based on your contributions, but it's going to be based on your pensionable service. So that will be the main difference. There are other subtle differences that relate to especially provident funds where the benefits that they earned before 1 September 2021 and those that they earn from 1 September 2021 to 31 August 2024 will be saved in practically different pots. But those are just subtle differences, but the underlying principles are the same.
Very interesting, Butsonke, because this system is actually designed, to allow flexibility. Siyazi uba isimo nemeko zezimali in the country is currently, asifuni nothetha ngazo sibi kakhulu. The economy is currently ailing. So what necessitated uba nifake lolu shintsho apha kwinantsika kwi-system?
Yes. Umthetho apho usuka khona ndicinga uba sonke siyakhumbula imeko esuka kuyo phantsi kwe-COVID.
Yes.
Amaxesha ebenzima kakhulu. Apho abantu abaninzi kuye kwafumaniseka ukuba balahlekelwa imisebenzi. Kwi-private sector kuye kwafumaniseka abantu imivuzo yabantu yehla. Abe umntu ngelo xesha ingxaki zakhe zingamanga. And then akwakhona isikhalo sokuba kanti xa kunzima kunje na asinokwazi uba nendlela yokuba siyifumane imali yethu yepension.
Okay.
Because currently ngokwemithetho ekhoyo ngoku ukuze ukwazi uyifumana imali yakho yepension funeka ushiye phantsi emsebenzini okanye uthathe umhlala phantsi. So lo mthetho uphuma phantsi kwezomeko ukuba abantu masibanike ithuba lokuba xa bephantsi kwemeko zikaxakeka kube khona into abakwaziyo ukuyifumana kwipension yabo abayisebenzeleyo ukuba ibancedise kweso simo sokuba nzima.
Alright.
So i-flexibility ingena kuloo ndawo ke uba at least ngoku lizoba khona elo thuba loba umuntu kube khona into ayifumanayo kwipension.
Butsonke, I worry about people are going to hear this and say, yes, engakhuphi imali yami kwi-pension, a portion of it, and then bazofuna uba bayikhuphe yonke. Mbukeli, we're going to take a very quick ad break. After that, we're going to deliberate further on what we are talking about. Do stay with us. This is Yilungelo Lakho. We're coming back shortly after this break. Mbukeli, welcome back. Izingcingo zethu ke sezivuliwe manje ukuthi nawe phela ube yingxenye yohlelo lethu. Sikhuluma la ngama two-part systems or three-part systems lapha kuma pension wenu phela ekuthiwa imali ozokwazi ukuthi ibe isamba esincane sisho yonke i-retirement package yakho ozokwazi ukuthi phela uyikhiphe uma mhlambe wena uyithola useyinkingeni zemali. Mbukeli 0117140671 alternatively 7140672. Ungasithi imela i-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za. Alternatively, interact with us on Facebook as well as on Twitter. I'm with Brian Karitza and Nosonke Dandala. Bobabili Mbukeli babuya khona lapha ya GEPF. Niyazi ke i-GEPF Mbukeli ibone sibambisane nabo kulolu hlelo ukuthi sizama ukuthi sinixwayise futhi sinifundise mayelana nama pension wenu. So before we departed very quickly, but when I put sonke abantu bazoba excited bese vuba hey ndine excess ngoku of a certain amount pha kwi pension yami. Will they not then decide ubaba khuphe yonke le mali le ekwi retirement savings zabo?
Umthetho sis Alicia awuzubavumela ba bayikhuphe yonke.
Okay, so you still monitoring them?
Masingathi siyaba monitorisha.
Okay.
Umthetho ume ngolhlobo.
Okay.
Ukusukela nge-1 kaSeptember kuzawo ipension yomuntu izawusplitwa izokwahlulwa kwi-pots ezimbini.
Okay.
Kuzawuba khona i-savings pot. Kulo pot ye-savings kuzawungena kuyo 1/3 of i-contribution yakhe ye-pension. Kwi-retirement pot kuzawungena u2/3. Kulo 1/3 ke we-savings pot lo abantu bazawuvumeleka kuba bakwazi ukuthatha kuyo kanye ngonyaka in a tax year.
Okay.
Yeah, manigqithise nje lo ndawo leyo and then uBrian angene kwezi pots zontathu akazicacise.
You know, really, and I think we have a graphic there that speaks to those specific structures. So, Brian, please take us through these things. So, why are we calling it a two-part if there's actually 3 or more parts?
It's because we're looking into the future. So, for anyone who joins the workforce and becomes part of a retirement fund from 1 September 2024, they'll be subject to 2 pots. But for everyone else who's currently working, it will actually be a 3-pot system. So all the benefits that you have earned up until the 1st of September 2024, those are going to be preserved in a special pot, which is called the vested pot or vested component. Then going forward, like Sonke touched on, for the GPF specifically, benefits based on 1/3 of your pensionable service will be allocated to your savings pot, and the remainder of your service being the 2/3, the benefits based on that 2/3 will be allocated to your retirement pot.
All right, so Sonke, let's say ndiyakhupha ke ngoku pha kwinansika kule pot yami where I can actually withdraw la kukho khona i1/3. Do I need to replenish the pot uba I need to then sustain a balance in my retirement investment at the end? Uba xa senifuna uba I'm retiring, I still have that 30,000 rand that I withdrew from that pot yokuqala.
Yeah. Masicacise ngohlobo uba ezi pot ezimbizi ezintathu sebenza kanjani.
Yeah.
So njengebetshilo uBrian, up until 31 August, umuntu khona ipension aseyisebenzele anayo.
Okay.
Less is at vested pot.
Okay. Ungasinikeza umzekelo?
Yeah. Vested pot. So then ke ngoku ngomhla ka1 kaSeptember kukho into esizayibiza i-seeding capital.
Okay.
Right? Ezokulingana ne10% up to 10% of the value of your vested pot up to a maximum of 30,000 rand.
Okay.
Okay? Because xa sivula une vested pot, let's say in R1 million, on 1 September une savings pot, une retirement pot, zino balance ngu0.
Okay.
Zombini.
Okay.
So lo 10% up to a maximum of 30,000 rands, you can seed into your savings pot. So izawu move la 10% into savings pot. Masenze umzekelo, lo muntu one R1 million, 10% of 1 million is 100,000.
Yes.
but they will only be allowed to seed 30,000 rand into the savings pot.
Okay.
So izawungena ke saving 30,000 rand ingene ku savings pot. Then ukuya phambili. So ke ngoxa sithatha i-contribution yomuntu ye-pension, let's say now end of September. La contribution masithi 1,000 rand. Izawusplitwa, 1/3 will go into the savings pot, 2/3 will go into the retirement pot.
Okay.
Kube njalo ukuya phambili.
Iyenza
So
ntoni
iyakhula.
le-vested pot but sonke
I-vested
because
pot-
ikhona nayo pha?
I-vested pot ihleli.
Okay.
Ihleli yona izawutshintsha ngokuphansi komthetho we-GP law, itshintsha xa i-service yakho increaser, itshintsha xa i-salary yakho increase.
Itshintsha,
So
okay.
it's not going to be static, it will continue moving as the factors that determine your pension change.
All right.
So ke ngokuza kumbuzo wakho, if wena let's say kula 30,000 udecide ukuyikhupha whatever amount, khupha 20,000, which is taxable by the way.
Okay.
It's not free, it's taxable. Xa uyikhupha, then khumbula ke ngoku every month contribution yakho ye 1/3 ingena pha. So that is how the pot is being replenished. So
I
every month 1/3 is going to your
see.
savings pot, 2/3 ingena ku retirement pot kanjalo.
Okay.
And xa ukhuphe wenze i-withdrawal A1, you can only make one withdrawal a year.
Okay.
Ngonyaka in a tax year.
All right.
Okay. So if ukhuphile ngoSeptember mhlawumbe uyikhuphe ngoOctober, next time uzakwazi uphinda uyikhupha is in the following tax year, which starts from March going forward.
Okay, Brian, maybe come in there because I want to understand. I mean, with the different pots that we're hearing about, who is eligible to actually withdraw? Is it everybody across the spectrum, or is it people that have just, have been, of course, investing in these pots for a lifetime, in that they've been working for longer than 10 years? What about somebody who's just started working and contributing to the pension fund? Do they also have access to the pot, what you call this pot, the one where you can actually borrow from?
Yes, so everyone who will be part of a retirement fund and they're still working and contributing to that retirement fund,
Okay.
they will have access to the benefits.
It doesn't
they
matter
have.
when you started
Yeah.
contributing.
So even if you start working on 1 September, if you have a benefit by 30 September, theoretically, you can withdraw from that savings pot. So
Okay.
it's applicable to everyone. The condition is that the balance in that savings pot has to be at least 2,000 before you can withdraw from it. So
Okay.
you can only start drawing from that pot if your balance is at least 2,000 rand.
Okay, and you can only withdraw once a year, as Usonke is saying.
Yes,
and
so
do you
once in a
stipulate
tax
the
year.
amount that, of course, the member can then withdraw, or it's because of the...
It has to be at least 2,000, but subject to the maximum balance available there. So if you have 100,000, theoretically you can withdraw the full 100,000. But you're also not compelled to withdraw. If you want to withdraw something lower, you're able to withdraw that. Or if you do not even want to withdraw, you are welcome to leave the money there.
And is it taxed differently as opposed to when you actually take your whole lump sum for retirement, Brian?
So not quite. So how it works, let's go back to the current system. In the current system, you'd work up until you retire. Then when you start receiving your pension gets taxed.
Yes.
Now, if you look at it clearly, you're accessing your pension early.
Yes.
So you're being taxed as it's going to be added to your current income.
Okay.
And it's going to be taxed at your income tax rates or your pay as you earn rates.
Ooh.
So that's the major difference.
Okay.
But once you get to retirement age, if you still have a lump sum which you can withdraw from, that will be taxed differently. That is taxed at your retirement tax tables.
Okay. All right. Mbukela sithathe linye ikhefu siyabuya khona manje. My lines are wide open. 7140671 7140672 060-844-9857 if ufuna ukukhuluma nathi lapha ku WhatsApp sikhona futhi na ku consumer@sabc.co.za. This is Yilungelo Lakho alongside the GEPF. We're coming back shortly after this. Don't go anywhere. mbukeli indaba engamabhodwe asisho lawo kupheka sisho lawa emali emayelana nama-pension enu. Welcome back. Ilungelo lakho lelo 011-714-0671, alternatively 714-0672. consumer@sabc.co.za. Xhumana nathi futhi on social media as well as on our WhatsApp line 0608449857. So, Brian, what is the big difference between the current system? What is the biggest change, rather, with the current system versus the new system that is going to kick in with these pots that we are discussing?
Okay, so I think we've discussed one of them, which is the flexibility and having access to the savings pot without needing to leave the fund or leave your job. The second big difference will come to what you get paid when you resign.
Okay.
So currently, before the two-pot system is implemented, when you resign, you're entitled to get your full pension benefits as a lump sum, and it will be taxed at the withdrawal tax rates. Now, under the two-pot system, things are going to change slightly. You will not be able to access your full pension benefits as a lump sum. So if I was to give an example, anyone who resigns after 1 September 2024, they'll have access to the balances in the vested pot and the balances in the savings pot, and that's what will be paid to them as a lump sum.
Okay.
But the balances in the retirement pot, they will not be able to get this as a cash benefit. They will either have to transfer it to another retirement fund, and they'll only be able to access it once they reach their retirement age. So that's the main difference, in that previously you could access all three pots when you resign. Now you'll be restricted to the two, and then the retirement pot will be preserved up until you reach your retirement age.
Okay, because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking now, this is where the confusion is going to actually get most of them.
Yeah. No, masicacise ngohlobo because lolona vutho ndaba olu athetha ngalo uBrian. So ithi ke lento andithi be stay vested pot yipension yakho le ubusowuhlela unayo oyakhileyo kule minyaka yakho usebenza.
Yes.
Up until 1 September. Then emva ko 1 September savula savings pot, savula retirement pot. Then umane ufaka 1/3 ku savings pot, ufaka 2/3 ku retirement pot. Ithi ke ngoku umthetho uzothi ke ngoku xa ushiya emsebenzini on resignation, imali okwazi ukuyifumana yile ku savings pot ne vested pot kuphela.
Yeah.
Le eku retirement pot soze uyiphathe ude uba uthatha umhlala phansi.
Okay.
Or you go on retirement. Whether that is in 5 years for you or 10 years time or 20 years time, but le ku retirement awukwazi ukuyithatha.
Okay.
Lonto le engumahluko omkhulu kunangoku kuba ngoku xa uphuma uyakwazi uyifumana yonke imali yakho.
Okay.
Uyithathe itaxwe ngokufanelekileyo ufumane lo mali uyifumanayo.
Okay.
So ubaluleke kakhulu lo ndawo leyo. Ibaluleke kakhulu uba bayiqonde uba you are only able to access your savings pot and your vested pot. Your retirement pot you cannot touch until retirement.
Okay. So, Brian, I mean, apparently a lot of employees are thinking that with the implementation, of course, of the two-pot system, they're actually going to lose their pension. So it's actually better for them to just withdraw it before the system is actually implemented. Please clarify around this issue.
So that is not the case. And if you look at it clearly, there's actually no need to resign simply to access what you have end up until that point.
Yeah.
So I think Sonke did mention it. So whenever you resign, or on every form of exit, you're going to be entitled to your vested pot and your savings pot. So whether you resign before 1 September or after 1 September 2024, what you already have earned, you're still going to be entitled to it. What is changing is what you'd earn from 1 September, or what you'd earn as a benefit from 1 September 2024 going onwards.
Okay. So masithethe ngala seed capital kuthethwa ngantoni pha, because I think that's another interesting aspect with this new pod system as or introducer that people need clarity on.
Yes. No, masiyicacise. Yeah, I think ibalekile ukuyicacisa. Njengoba sisitsho umuntu unepension anayo until 1 September.
Yeah.
Go 1 September sizo wonke umuntu, nobody can opt out. Nansi enye into ebalulekileyo. Akho umuntu ozawuthi mna ndifuna le two-pot system ndifuna ba ngaphandle kuyo sanonibala.
Oh, okay.
Nobody can opt out. Everybody, including the private sector employees, need to be part of this system.
Okay.
So nge-1 September sizomvulela wonke umuntu okwipension okwincwadi zethu samvulela i-savings pot simvulela i-retirement pot. Ngoku nge-1 September njengoba benditshilo akho mali kwezi pots ziyavulwa ngo-1 September.
Okay.
Zinobalance zineqanda phakathi.
Okay.
So ke ngoku le seed capital ithetha loo nto siyatyala.
Okay.
Xa sithetha ngesixhosa
Okay.
siyatyala ke ngoku kodwa sityala apha ku-savings pot kuphela. Okay? Sithatha kuloo vested pot siyafaka.
Okay.
Umahluko umntu ongenayo ipension oqalayo masithi umuntu oqalayo ukuphangela nge-1 zikaSeptember
Yes.
yena akana vested pot.
Okay.
So eyakhe imali ezawuqala ungena i-contribution yakhe yokuqala ukuphela kwaSeptember
At the end of September, yeah.
1/3 ku-savings pot kungene 2/3 ku-savings pot.
Okay.
So ke ngoku la seed capital ngeyaba bantu bane-vested pot basibanika ithuba batyale imali beyikhupha kule vested pot bayifake ku-savings pot.
Okay.
Into ebalulekileyo ke ndicacise it's 10% of the value of the vested pot up to a maximum of 30,000 rands.
Okay.
Okay. So njengoba benditshilo umuntu one-1 million rand 10% is 100,000.
Yes.
But they can only seed 30,000.
30,000 rand.
Umuntu eyakhe ipension eyi-100,000 mhlawumbe mna 2 years esebenza yena eyakhe ipension is only 100,000. 10% of 100,000 is 10,000 rand.
Okay.
So they can only seed 10,000 rand.
Okay. All right.
Isebenza ngolo hlobo ke. Ibalekile but ngeyaba bantu bane-vested pots ukwenzela uba bakwazi ukutyala kube khona into abakwazi uyifaka ku-savings pot.
Yo, you know, Abantu, they must be calling you to find out if they're vested pots or savings pot or they qualify for Lena Ntsika. Let's go to the lines. We've got Uvuyani from Rustenburg. Vuyani, enkosi for joining us. Umbuzo nomumbono dad. Vuyani?
Hello, good.
Siyaphila baba njani?
Hayi ngiyaphila lapha. Bendine questions mama apha kuma bantu ipanel yakho.
Buza Vuyani.
Yebo, i-question yami ithi ke siswami njengoba ke kukhona lento eziphothi zintathu or ezimbili bazimentionayo. How is it going to affect the interest maybe accumulator each and every year? Is it going to be the same interest ezozifumana even though le mntu is differentiate to iphothi ezifanayo? Akho i-effect ezobanayo nakwi-interest endizitholayo? Because even in the 500,000 I know good in the next coming year, I will receive maybe something like 5,000 interest, in interest because I've invested something like 500,000.
Yeah.
So if now they are shifting those both into 3 or into 2, then how is it going to affect the interest?
Very important question there, Vuyani. Inkosi kakhulu tata. I'm going to take a quick ad break and then Brian, maybe you can address that very important question. He wants to know if the interest that is normally accruing or accumulating yearly is going to be actually affected. So Mbukeli, stay right there. Siyabuya khona manje sikhuluma ngamabhodo amathathu, amabhodo amabili. Wena kumele wazi ukuthi kahle kahle wonke lamabhodo mesehlangena asebenza kanjani. Kodwa anemali phakathi. We're coming back shortly after this. Yilungelo Lakho, stay with us. Bukeli sithatha nge-two-pot system yempesheni yakho ukuthi kuthiwa i-GEPF kanye nabanye bama-private pensions kuthiwa umthetho uzongeniswa-ke uma kuqala uSeptember kulonyaka ukuthi nikwazi ukuthi nibe ne-access at least yokuthi nikwazi ukukhipha imali encane uma wena useyinkingeni ukwazi uku-withdrawa lapha ebhodweni elilodwa without ukuthi uhambe kwi-scheme sakho nokuthi futhi ushiye phansi i-pension yakho. I'm sitting with Brian Karitza noBotsonke Dandala bobabili babuya e-GEPF. I-GEPF ke Mbukeli uyazi ukuthi they have sponsored this program ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sinifundise futhi sinicacise ngezinto ekumele nizazi mayelana nama-benefits kanye ne-pension yenu. So as Vuyani was asking there, what do you want to say to that, Brian? Because he wants to know how will this affect his interest that is accumulated annually?
So for GPF, remember, we are a defined benefit fund. So whatever benefit you're earning or that you're going to get from the fund is based on your years of service and on your salary. So as you work for longer, your benefit is growing, and as your salary is growing, your benefit is also growing. So it's
Okay.
not tied to the interest or the investment returns that are going to be earned by the assets that are invested by the GEPF. Then when we look in the private sector, we won't expect too much of a change, because your contributions, they're just being split notionally, but they're going to be invested in the same way. And whatever they grow up to is what you'll be paid. Is what will be paid to you.
Okay.
So I would not expect there to be too much of a difference.
Okay. So Sonke, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, is this a beneficial type of system that people can actually embark and utilize? Okanye izaba ne shortfalls somewhere? Can you just usicacise lapho Dad?
Xa sicinga wena sis Alicia, iGPF iyawuxhasa umthetho. Yakhona iprocess yokuthi si-engage no-National Treasury abangabo bawuphetheyo umthetho. Zakhona indawo phana pha esiyesazibeka esine-concerns ngazo. But umthetho in a broad sense siyawuxhasa.
Okay.
I think into ebalulekileyo la flexibility nesasikhalo sabantu sokuba xa ndisengxakini ngamaxesha kaxakeka ndiyacela ukuba kube khona into endikwazi ukuyifumana.
Instead of uba ndiye komashonisa okanye ndiyovula ezinye loans.
Yes, ndiyovula ezinye loans. So I think yinto leyo ebalulekileyo esicinga uba izawukwazi ubanceda abantu.
Okay, but they can't abuse the system, as you said, ukuba imali eallocatwa kula pot yenantsika ye savings. It's actually specified according to a certain amount that they have access to.
Yes. Eyona nto thina siyi-GPF. So siyayithanda loo nto, siyayixhasa uba abantu bakwazi uba kube khona imali abakwazi uyifumana.
So I can't come and say ndifuna 50,000, whereas the only access to the imali endingaba nayo is 30,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
So ufuna ukuthathe lo balance ikhona kwi-savings pot.
Okay.
Kodwa ke sis Alicia, thina into esifuna ukuyigxininisa, abantu mabakhumbule uba ipension yimali yomntu aphila ngayo xa ethatha umhlala phansi.
Yes.
People must not lose sight of that. Ibaluleke kakhulu loo nto leyo. Into esizama ukuyenza apha, sizama ukugcina uba imali yakho yepension uhlale nayo, enzela uba xa uthatha umhlala phantsi ibe khona into ozawukwazi ukuphila ngayo. Ngeyona nto bayithatha leyo. Siyababongoza futhi abantu uba le mali umthetho wayo, njengoba bendisitsho uba umthetho ugeyine momentum ngenxa nge-COVID.
Ewe.
Siyabacela abantu mayibe yimali oyidinga ngexesha likaxakeka.
Not just uba uya kwi-shopping spree wena ufuna uku-upgrade ikitchen yakho.
Ayomali yokuthenga amavili amatsha emotweni, ayomali njalo, mayibe imali.
Yokuya eParis.
Ukuba abantu bayiphathe kakuhle ngempatho bayikhathalele, ingabasebenzela le system. Kodwa kuba abantu bayitya ubudlaphu bayayixhaphaza, bazaba nengxaki xa befika kwi-retirement.
Niyaxwayiswa ke lapho babukela ukuthi kahle kahle there is many benefits, but also ningayi-abuse lento ukuthi phela uzothi usuyibona usuretire awusenamali. All right, let's go back to the line. Sis Khosi eHammanskraal, who's been holding on for dear life on the calls. How are you doing, Khosi? Thank you so much for staying on the line. Welcome. Kunjani, Sis Khosi?
Hello.
Kunjani, Sis Khosi?
Ngiyaphila kunjani?
Ngiyaphila sithando sami. Go ahead ngombuzo noma umbono.
Sorry?
Qhubeka nombuzo noma umbono sisiwami.
Okay. Bengifuna ukubuza ukuthi let's say ukwazi withdraw the 30% ekuyi-maximum. Le 30,000 le ibuya nini kanjani? And then uzoyikhipha futhi next year uzokwazi ukuyi-withdraw every month, I mean every year, or you want off and then it izokhuphuka ukubhadala back imali leyo, or what will happen with paying back the money?
Okay, all right, siyabonga kakhulu lapho Sis Khosi and Brian. We were actually coming to this because we were discussing it off air. So Khosi wants to know, so say you take your whole 30% on your savings pot and you actually utilize it. You said it's one withdrawal a year, right?
Yes.
So she wants to know, how do you replenish the 30,000 rand? Because let's say if you're going to be withdrawing 30,000 rand every year, you're going to end up not having any money when you get to retirement.
So,
and also, while you're there, this very important point, what if I win the lottery and then I want to like completely just put that 30,000 rand that I had borrowed? Am I still able to do that as well?
Thank you, and that's actually a very important question. So remember, as you keep on working, there's a third of your benefits that just keeps going to your savings account.
Okay.
So that's one of the ways that it's being replenished.
Okay.
But to cover what you have lost from your previous withdrawals, you then need to buy extra service. So we call it a purchase of service. So the fund allows you to, let's say, like you've said, you've received this sum of money, you want to replenish or buy back the service that you lost. The fund enables you to do that.
Okay.
It's called a purchase of service agreement. You contact the fund, you get a quotation on how much is needed or how much you have to cover for the service that you want to purchase. And then once you have paid in that amount, you get credited with additional service. So even if you did not borrow or you did not take away from your savings pot, if you want to increase your service, you can also purchase your service. So it's not only restricted to those who have taken out from the fund.
Okay.
Even if you have not taken out from the fund, but you want to increase your benefits within the fund, you can purchase service through the fund.
Okay, do you want to add anything up about Sonke, and then maybe also talk to us about how Ndiva kuthiwa there'll now be 3 service records, uba ziphangela njani ezo 3 service records?
Yes, I can touch on it. I think uqala uzama ukucacisela usisikhosi. Masibe ngolo hlobo le mali umuntu azabe eyithatha ku savings pot ayo loan.
Okay.
Okay? Akulindelelwanga uba ufuna ukuphinde uyibhatala uyibuyise.
Okay.
Right? So uyayithatha if unayo 30,000 uvumelekile uyithathe yonke, then i-contributions zakho, 1/3 of i-contributions zakho every month ziyangena, and that's how it gets replenished.
Okay.
Okay? And then uba i-replenisheka kangakanani kaloku uzawuxhomekeka uba wena urhola malini.
I
Uba
see.
urhola kakhulu mhlambi, maybe in a year's time it will be replenished to above 30,000 or whatever the case might be. So izawureplenisheka ngolo hlobo, but ibalekile acacela usisikhosi uba ayo loan.
Okay.
Asikuniki le mali bafuna ukuphinde uyibuyise.
Oh, okay.
Uyikhuphile. Inayo impact ke in terms of ba izawuchana ngaphambili in terms of i-pensionable service yakho.
Well, that's what I wanted
But
to
I think
ask.
masiyithathe leyo as part of the next segment ukuvala uba uBrian ba impact kanjani i-pensionable service
Okay,
yakho.
no, absolutely. Let's take a quick ad break in Mbogele, and my director is telling me it's our final ad break. It's here, Piscati. We're coming back shortly after this. Don't go anywhere. It's our final segment. I'm still with Brian Karidza no Sonke Tandala bobabili babuya lapha eGEPF. Sikhuluma ngalamabhodwe lawa aphatha imali yakho yepension nale one one excess ya ukuthi unga withdraw once a year ukuthi wena uma usengxakini financially ukwazi ukuthi uzisize. Let's go quickly back to the lines. Siphilisiwe eGreat Town sakwamukela Ntokazi ohlelweni umbuzo noma umbono.
Yebo sisebenzani?
Siyaphila sisiwena njani?
Ngiyaphila. Ngisafuna ukuzwa lana kobhuti bakwa-GEPF ukuthi la ake sithi kune-vested pot.
Uyakhatha Sisiphilisiwe.
Hello?
Sisiphilisiwe ngicela uqale phansi ngombuzo wakho futhi sithanda sama sikuzwanga kahle ubukhatha.
Okay, ngiyaxolisa. Ngicela ukuzwa ukuthi mangase kuthiwa ngiyaresign mhlawumbe next year August.
Yes.
Yes, ngino-10 years ngisebenza mhlawumbe ngine-million kwa-GEPF. Imali engizoyi-accessa ngizoyithatha yonke ku-vested pot noma kuzokwenzakalayo.
Oh, okay. All right. I think this is a very quick one, and we had addressed it. Address a very quickly.
Yes, ngiphendula ngokukhawuleza. So njengoba besesitshilo, i-vested pot yakhe if uthathe i-resignation, i-vested pot yakhe uyakwazi ukuyifumana, and what she has accumulated njengoba uthe uba ndimve kahle uthe let's say August next year.
Yes.
So what she has accumulated kwi-savings pot from 1 September until August next year angayikhupha.
Okay. And remember, uthi uya resign. It's not retiring.
So uzawufumana kuphela lo vested pot ne-savings pot. What she has accumulated kwi-retirement pot akazukwazi uyifumana.
Okay. Iyaphi lo mali Sonke?
Izawuhlala if uyaphuma uya komunye umsebenzi masithi uyasebenza kwi-private sector.
Yes.
Uyakwazi uyithatha ayoyifaka kwi-retirement pot in the private sector. But ngeke akwazi ukuyifumana
As a lump
imali.
sum. Oh,
Yeah,
I
as inkozo.
see.
Ngeke akwazi uyifumana zinkozo. Yona uzakwazi uyifumana qha on the day she retires.
Okay, very interesting. So let's do one-word answers here. Brian, I saw a video where a broker was claiming that the GEPF is actually robbing people because this vested pot balance is actually not fixed. And the broker claims that for defined contribution funds, the vested pot is actually fixed. How true is this?
So that's not correct. What is fixed is your service. So we look at your service up until 31 August 2024. But as your salary increases, your vested pot balance will also increase. In the private sector, whatever you've accumulated would grow with interest. So it's also not fixed.
All right. So, Sonke, what if I'm 55 years and older and if they're immigrator, izawuthini imali yami?
Yeah. I-age ka-55 ayingendawo it has no impact. Umthetho uaplya ngokufanayo.
Okay.
Nakumuntu ona 55.
Okay.
I-immigration ibalulekile. Umuntu o-emigratayo uzakwazi uthatha i-vested pot yakhe ne-savings pot kuphela on immigration.
As a lump sum.
As a lump sum.
Okay.
Aphumame nayo. Le ku-retirement pot accumulate ku-retirement pot akakwazi ukuyiphatha for 3 years. Uzayifumana only after 3 years.
Okay. All right. And then, Brian, what if I don't make or don't want to make any partial withdrawals from these 3 pots or my savings pot?
Yeah,
There's no impact there.
Yeah, so the members are not required or obliged to withdraw. So if you do not want to withdraw, there will be no impact on your service, there will be no impact on your benefit. You will retire as if 2-pot and get the same benefit as if 2-pot was not implemented.
Okay.
But if you do decide to withdraw, it's not a free lunch, it's coming at a cost of service. So each withdrawal you make is making you lose service, which means by the time you retire, you're going to retire with a lower benefit than what you would have had before 2-pot system.
You know, Brian, we and it's very important. People are actually going to miss that. So what happens if I divorce? I mean, we started about the divorce number beneficiaries last week. So what happens in that instance, Sonke? Does it affect indaba zama savings pot, vested pot versus retirement pots?
Ewe inawo umthelela. Abantu xa bohlukana ngokomtshato xa beqhawula umtshato ngoku. Umuntu uyaclaima ndithi uclaime kumyeni wakho.
And this is in community of property, right? Whatever the decree says.
I-GBF ayingeni ku-community of property thina sifuna i-court order.
Okay.
I-court izasixelela uba sonke dandala bhatala inkosikazi yakho imali enga. Ngokomthetho wangoku inkosikazi yakwazi uyifumana yonke loo mali leyo kwi-pension. Kumthetho omtsha akazukwazi uyifumana yonke. Uzafumana ingxenye ekwi-vested pot nakwi-savings pot. Le kwi-retirement pot kuzawunyanzeleka naye ayithatha yoyifaka kweyakhe retirement pot akazukwazi uyifumana in cash.
All right. So Brian, okay. And then Brian, what happens if I'm retrenched? We've spoken about the resignation aspect. What happens when I'm retrenched? What do I have access to in terms of the 3 pots?
So because retrenchment is not voluntary,
yes.
Our current understanding is that you have access to all 3 pots as a lump sum. Ooh. So you'll be I don't think it's anything to celebrate. You'd rather be employed, but yes, our understanding is that you then have access to all 3 pots as a lump sum.
Okay, and then when I retire, it's still, please reiterate, it is still the lump sum that you have contributed throughout your working life that you actually receive.
Yeah, yes. So the intention of 2-pot is what is in your savings pot is what you get as a lump sum. And then what is in your retirement pot is what is going to give you your pension that will be payable for the rest of your life.
All right, to both of you, another question here that requires both of you. It says a broker told them that by reducing their pensionable service for partial withdrawals, the GEPF is effectively penalizing them by more than the amount that they will have taken out. And the broker also said this would not be the case on a defined contribution fund. Is this true?
No.
Brian?
Yeah, so it's a simplistic way of looking at it. So let's look at a defined contribution fund. If you do not contribute, what you're losing out is not only that contribution, but in the returns and interest you'd earn on that contribution. So similar thing applies with the GPF. The service year that is going to be taken away, you're not only losing it based on the salary that you were earning. Remember, when you retire, you're going to retire on a different salary that's expected to be higher.
Yes.
So you're going to lose that that growth in the salary is going to affect the benefit that you are getting. So it's the same treatment whether on GPF or in the private sector.
All right. So, Sonke, will the fund then still be secure after the implementation? I think we touched on a different aspect of this. They must just go quickly by withdraw izimali zabo because they don't understand. Will there still be money with GEPF? So the rumors are that the fund will run out of money to actually pay those benefits. Please give us a clarity up.
No, I correct kanjalo sis Alicia. Ifund right imeka kahle ngokwezimali nakungena kwawo lo mthetho akuzoba nomthelela omkhulu ngokwezimo zemali zefund. Ndingabeka nje ndithi currently sinekhona into ekuthiwa i-funding level, which is how well the fund, what is the ability of the fund to cover its liabilities. Currently siku 110.1% i-funding level yethu. Ngokucacisa lo nje ithetha uba i-1 rand esikweletayo sine 1 rand 10 cent engaphezulu. So siyakwazi uyibhatala 1 rand sishiyeke ne-10 cent ecaleni. So isimo sethu semali asikho sengxakini, sime kakuhle nokungena komthetho omtsha akuzoba nomthelelo omkhulu kakhulu kuyo.
Okay, so Brian, here's another one. The GPF pays a lump sum and monthly pension when a member retires with 10 or more years of pensionable service, and only a lump sum if you have less than 10 years of pensionable service. So what will happen if you've been part of the GPF for longer than 10 years, but due to partial withdrawals, you end up with less than 10 years of pensionable service?
So you'll still be entitled to your lump sum and a pension. So we're going to base it on your total years of being a member of the GPF. That's what will determine whether we apply the less than 10 years rule or the greater than 10 years rule.
So sonke i-advice ke kulabo members zenu specifically about when this this 3-pot 3-food 2-pot system actually kicks in. What can you tell them now about what should they ready themselves for? Can they come to your offices to inquire about which category they fall upon, what types of benefits they actually stand to benefit from when the system kicks in on the 1st of September?
Sis Alicia, I think into ebalulekileyo ngoku kusuka ngoku kuyofika ku-1 September yile process ye-education esiyenzayo njengoba silapha namhlanje kuyilungelo lakho.
Yes.
Mabajonge zonke i-platform zethu kwi-website, kwi-social media, sizobacacisela nge-step by step uba mabalindele ntoni na xa kufika ne-process umzekelo yokuba imali xa befuna uyi-aplayela bazoyi-aplayela kanjani. Zinto ezo ezizawuvela ngokuhamba kwexesha.
Okay.
We will continue and consistently keep them updated ukuze ukuthi xa kufika u-1 September babe sibe sesibaxhobisile ngolwazi besazi baba mephi and bakwazi ba.
And the application process in this whole thing, you don't just get that savings pot system very quickly, Brian.
Yes, so we are finalizing those processes, so it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
But the intention is to make it flexible enough for members to apply through the self-service platform. But we'll keep them informed once we've finalized the background processes.
Awesome stuff. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Brian Karidza alongside Usonke Dandala, both of them represent a GEPF. Mbukelu yazi, this is a GEPF sponsored show alongside with Yilungelo Lakho. Lasimfundisa khona ukuthi ukubaluleka kokwazi ukuthi kwenzakalani kwipension yakho. Ungavani ufuna ukuyibona ngoba naku wena usuna 65 usuyakhala wazi nokuthi ithexwe kanjani. So they've been here helping us with that knowledge. Ake mbukeli, that is where we're going to leave it for today's program. Remember, you can still go to their website, Umnai information if you need more information. The system is kicking in on the 1st of September this year. From myself, for Alicia Unonhlanhla Wakajali, and my guests and the crew and the team, githi nisale kahle, go and inquire nina nifuna ukuthi niyo access lela pot lela le savings, gijimani niyobuza ukuthi sebenza kanjani, nisale kahle.
Yilungelo